Hey, well, what is up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 70 of the Faith and Pop Culture Podcast. I am your host, back with you once again, Daniel Blackaby, and I am joined, as I always am, by the one, the only Nyah Carlson. How are you doing?
I'm solid. I'm doing pretty solid. How are you?
I would hope so, because we've been off for a while. We've had our
Some
Christmas break
rest.
went all the way through into February. Was, uh,
Pretty much.
yes. So I mean, we've still been doing stuff. We've still been colliding with culture, following all the new. A lot of stuff has happened actually. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking throughout our break, like, oh, that would have been a good podcast topic. But the
And
good
that's
news
it,
is
the
that
first thing. The first thing that you think about is, oh, could we talk about this on the
yeah, it's like,
pod?
hey, none of this really matters. It's just fodder for more podcast
Exactly.
content. That's what really
Exactly.
matters. But the good thing about culture is there's always a lot going on. But do encourage you guys because check out. I know we're a podcast, but check out our website, thecollision.org, because we did do like some written articles and we engaged with a lot of the cool stuff that was happening throughout the culture. We've both done some interviews, and so got a lot of good stuff. But we don't need to focus too much on that because we are here to podcast, and we're feeling kind of amped up. I think because we've
hmm
had a time to rest, time to energize, and to dig into culture. And kind of our first, there's a couple of things I wanted us to kind of wade through today. Talk about,
hmm
I think, some good stuff, maybe a little bit of controversy sprinkled in, just because why not? You need just add a little spice. But so we're gonna get into some of our anticipated movies of the year. I think some general Christian approaches to culture. But to start off, kind of the big topical news story was that the Grammys just happened a couple of days ago, as of recording this podcast. Kind of, the annual award show to honor and elevate the greatest in the world of music. So you get a lot of performances. All types of artists. You get a lot of political speeches too. Apparently, so you get
Apparently.
the whole range of things. And I'll admit, I think we're both maybe somewhat the same on this. That I follow the Grammys and some of these award shows, but like the meter of like how much I actually care about these award shows
hmm
isn't always super high. Are
Yeah,
you with me?
I don't follow. The only one that I kind of pay attention to is the Oscars, just because it's film. But the Grammys, I mean, I love music, but I don't. I've never watched it or paid attention to it. It's like I'll learn about it by happenstance if someone says something about it. But other than that, it's like over my head.
Yeah, I usually go back and like I'll watch the speeches and I'll look into the who
Mhm.
won and and there was I think some of what you would expect, some of what you maybe wouldn't expect, just some bizarre stuff too. Like I said, a lot of speeches, a lot of a lot of political speeches and rants, and those tend to get the big headlines. We also got a pretty cool kind of faith-based moment. Which we'll get into a bit more specifically with Jelly Roll preaching the gospel from the stage. And you even got Justin Bieber out there performing in his underwear. So yeah, you
And
got
socks. And he
and
has socks
socks.
on too.
So
Don't forget about
yes,
that.
before we think he was not being modest,
Yeah,
he
he
had
had
some
socks
socks.
on. So,
But before we get into it, because I wanted to focus a little bit on like the Jelly Roll thing, because hey, I think it's kind of interesting. I do think it is worth sort of asking the question, like, do award shows actually matter? Because I know even like here at the Collision, like we'll talk about them usually. I think the Oscars are probably the biggest still,
mhm.
but like the Golden Globes or the Grammys or some of the VMA awards and like there's so many of them. And like I don't know, they get a lot of headlines. Usually, it's people that are mad about something that one of the celebrities said
Mhm.
from the stage. I don't know, like, my opinion is that, I don't really think they matter, um,
Mhm.
at least from, like, a cultural perspective. I think they matter, like, for the people, like, I think the Oscars matter for people in
For
film.
the
I think
people
the
that are
Gra
in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm all about, awarding excellence in the arts, and it's like, I'm not
Mhm.
against award shows. I think there should be. I just think sort of the, sort of almost like a disproportionate, like the attention that's given to the speeches or the award, the Grammys and stuff, in contrast to like how much cultural relevance, like how much it actually like moves the needle at all in any direction as far as like the way culture thinks or people think, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sold that like that it actually moves the dial one way
Well,
or the other.
and I think it can be harmful to, like, maybe harmful is not the right word, but to the film industry. Oh, I'm talking about Oscars specifically now, because there's, something called Oscar bait, where you create a film specifically to win an Oscar. There's become a formula so much so that you can kind of figure out, "Oh, this one's gonna win because of this," and a lot of times it's not actually the greatest work of art that wins. It's like, "Oh, this fits the political climate of this season," or "This is saying something about something that's popular this year to talk about." And it also is interesting because, art doesn't necessarily have a goal, you create just to create, but with award shows like the Grammys and the Oscars, sometimes, like the Oscar bait, that can add a goal to art that maybe shouldn't be there. Like, I agree that we should award excellence, but I don't know, it seems kind of weird to me.
Is there such thing as like Grammy bait?
I don't know if there is. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, like it's sort of because yeah, the Oscar movies, it's always some
Probably.
dark drama that's depressing, and usually
Yeah.
features some commentary on some hot button issue. Um, there is sort of that form. You can tell this is going to be an Oscar movie. This was made to be an Oscar movie. I don't know if there really is for the other arts. I think it would be hard to, and maybe because the and I think in some ways, I think individuals can be that, like who gets awarded things. Not that they
Mhm.
don't deserve them, but there can be a template for some of that. I feel like the Grammys. I don't know. I think music's maybe harder to. There isn't really that set type. Like I do think personalities matter. There are people that not that they're not good, that just because of their a big name and stuff, they're always going to be in contention for some award. And they want their shows to be popular. Like, I know there's like some politics to it. For me though, the thing with I think any award shows, and like maybe specifically something like the Grammys, is I think the value, as like a Christian, trying to engage with it just for its like cultural significance, I think it's more valuable as like a quick snapshot, like a reflection of sort of culture right now. You can kind of tune in and you hear them celebrities speak on sort of hot button things. Some of the commentary around who wins and stuff
Mhm.
can I think you can kind of trace that back to seeing sort of these are the values or this is some of the stories or the things going on. I think there's some value in that much more so than like this actually changes culture. Like,
Yeah.
and I think
It
I
just
think there's
reveals.
yeah, like I don't think anything from the stage said
Mhm.
from the stage or anyone awarded necessarily changes much. Like, I don't know, maybe it drives people to check out some artists that they'd never heard of but like as far as like cultural stuff, like worldviews and politics and I don't know. I think people just sort of it's not like a surprise, what's being said that I don't know if it
Yeah.
necessarily anyone's, caught off guard, which actually does lead I have a theory, and I have no way to, like, back this up, so I'm just expecting you to
Okay.
affirm me.
Okay.
You can be the
Alright.
judge. But I do think that, 'cause we can talk about the Jelly Roll, speech. I do think moments like that do have far more impact than the other stuff. Like, than the even if there's, like, one or, moment like that in a ceremony
Mhm.
and there's, half dozen or more, sort of impassioned, political speeches from, like, a liberal perspective or whatever, or hot button things, like, I think because something like the Jelly Roll speech, where he's sort of praising Jesus, I mean, I think for 2 reasons. One, like, I think the gospel is powerful. I know that's one of
Mhm.
you say that a lot, like, the God's word doesn't come back void, like, that's one of your things, and, like, I think it's true, like, I think it's more impactful because the gospel is impactful more than
Mhm.
whatever political or worldview or social view you're, proclaiming from the stage. But I also just think because it's so unexpected, like, you go
Different.
to these award
Yeah.
things, and if you sort of know they all think similar and they're all gonna say the same
Mhm.
things, and no one really goes against the grain on these types of shows, and so it is sort of this echo chamber where the people that already agree with that applaud it, the people that don't get mad, but they're not
Mhm.
gonna change their mind because, you know, some Bad Bunny or someone said it from the stage, like, they either agree with it or they don't, because of that. Where I do think you have someone that does, like this Jelly Roll speech, which maybe we can, like, link it in the show notes if you haven't seen the
Mhm.
speech, but it is, like, a very heartfelt, like, just testimony of God changing him and, kinda
Mhm.
directing the praise from him to Jesus. I mean, like,
Yeah.
just the imagery, like, he's holding, like, his Grammy, and then he's
It's
holding,
pretty
like a
powerful,
Bible, and
and
it's
the
like
Bible's higher than
yeah,
the
and it's
Grammy
sort of like,
too.
and, like, I don't think that was, like, some intentional thing, but it
No.
just some of that,
Yeah.
imagery and stuff, I do think that moment probably has a far wider reach and, like,
He
actually
has a
does move the dial.
Yeah, he has a pretty powerful testimony too, from what I know. Like, I saw he was arrested like 40 times, and then he found I think okay, we're gonna have to fact check me on this, but I think he found God when he was incarcerated for a year. And like he says in this speech, I had a Bible this size and a radio the same size, and I thought these two things could save me. Um, yeah, she's just a very, very like big testimony to the difference before God and after God. But also to your point of that the good things stick out more than all of the bad is all of the highlights. I didn't watch it, but was watching the highlights this morning, and they all were focused on just the emotion of the acceptance speeches, on the performances, because the performances are always super fun, even if they are just an and at least the highlights that I saw weren't really talking about the, like, more political speeches, but there was more of a focus on, like, the reactions of the acceptances and even on Jelly Roll's speech because it's different and it's not, like, no one else is saying that. And so if no one else is saying that, that's of course what they're gonna focus on
Yeah,
too.
and even just, like, I think because it's from the heart, like, I think
Mhm.
regardless of what the speech is, if it's sort of more on social stuff, not that it's not they don't believe it or it's not passionate,
Yeah.
and but it is very much it falls into the mold that I think has turned off a lot of people from award shows of, like, the rich and famous sort of standing up in their glitz and glamour party and, like, pointing
Mhm.
fingers and telling everyone else what to do, and, like, even though they're sort of, like, detached from a lot of the regular people stuff, where I think something like the Jelly Roll thing, like, obviously, he's sort of proclaiming Jesus, but he's doing it in a way that's like, "Jesus transformed me."
Mhm.
Like, it's not like he's, like, even giving, like, an altar call and, "No, it's
Mm-mm.
therefore, you sinners, you" like, he can change you too, like, he just I don't know, it felt way more like, r
Relational, I would
yeah,
say,
like, it felt more
instead
real, like, it
of
didn't
yeah.
feel quite as, like, just sort of the expected, the artificial sorta lecturing and, pretentiousness, nature to
Mhm.
it. I do think it's interesting, because one of the things ever since you started, being a co-host on this podcast, we have to, like, meet our Force Frank quota, or every episode
Yes.
we talk about Force Frank for, something, and we had talked about him, last year before we went on break, 'cause Force Frank kinda went on he shared, like, his personal convictions about Christians shouldn't accept awards because the only award is Jesus, and,
Mhm.
and that it needs to be an example for that. I
Yeah.
forget exactly how you felt. I don't know if you felt maybe as strongly as me. Like, for me, I don't know. I think anyone can follow their convictions. Like, I have no problem with that. I don't personally. I don't think that was. I don't agree with him that that's like a
Yeah.
model that Christians should. And like
Well,
neither did. Yeah,
was he I don't know if he was saying that people should follow that. I think he was just making an example that, like, he was like, "This is my personal thing, is I'm not gonna accept awards like this because the real reward is Jesus," but he wasn't telling
yeah.
other
He
people not
wasn't.
to accept awards. He was
He
just
wasn't, but
like,
he kind of
"Keep
was.
your
Like,
eyes." I
yeah, like
guess,
he sort of like the way
but it
he.
wasn't blatant, I would
Yeah, he
say.
wasn't sort of like I don't think he would come out and condemn Christians that were
Yeah,
doing that.
like Jelly Roll.
I think it was sort of a personal thing. I
Mhm.
felt the way he sort of communicated it was like, "And here's the reasons why, and, like, if you do, then obviously Jesus isn't enough for you. That's sort of like
Oh,
the
I didn't get
he
that at
wouldn't. Oh,
all.
like I don't think he wouldn't say that. I don't think he probably even
Yeah.
believes that. But
Mhm.
it just came across sort of like I don't know, the high spiritual road, and like, you don't have to
Mhm.
follow me, but if you want to be up here in the cloud, like, but Jelly
In the
Roll
cloud.
seemed to agree with me that because he Jelly Roll had kind of pushed back on some of that too,
Yeah.
um, and it's interesting to me because this speech is sort of like the counterpoint to that, with
Mhm.
that kind of backs up Jelly Roll's perspective, and honestly, I have a hard time Jelly Roll. This is every time I say this, what a what a name, what a but
Mhm.
like this is sort of the counterpoint to that because I think in some ways you see, I don't know, like you see, Force Frank was taking a bit more of like an isolationist approach. Like it was kind of Christians are set apart, so we kind of pull out of the cultural things.
Mhm.
And obviously, there's a lot of areas where I would fully agree with Force Frank on that. Like, but it is sort of that like we're sort of our own. We got to set our apart and just worry about our relationship with Jesus. And I think the Jelly Roll thing at the Grammys is a bit more of like, well, like look, like you have a a guy in like one of the biggest events in sort of in the industry, mainstream. That's like a very stark contrast to a lot of the other people that are on stage saying,
Mhm.
proclaiming their views, and you have him just sharing his testimony and proclaiming Jesus. And I don't know, you see, not even that either one of them is right or wrong. You see the other side of that though, of like, well, like
Mhm.
maybe this is important, like, for Christians to be plugged in and, like, a part
Yeah.
of not the system, but, like, a part of the world and
Mhm. And
engaged in the
culture.
things,
Uh-huh.
in culture and to be able
Well,
to
it's
be
like
that light.
yeah, and it's like which one is gonna have more of an impact in the long term? Forrest Frank, who's out of the spotlight, at least in this like specific sense. Like that conviction made some ripples for about a month, but no one's talking about that anymore. As opposed to Jelly Roll, who if he keeps making music and he keeps going to the Grammys and going to different award shows like this, and each time he does, he talks a little bit more about Jesus. Like, it may be a little bit, but that builds up, as opposed to Forrest Frank being gone. Like you said, Forrest Frank, like, his conviction, it's fine for him, but it's more of an inward approach. And Jelly Roll is more, like, out. He's showing his faith in that specific way. It's just
Eh,
interesting
yeah,
seeing the differences.
and maybe, like, yeah, like you said, like, the N-word, and that's sort of where it differs of like, I think I'm fully support anyone that's like, "Hey, you know what? For me to win awards actually points me in the wrong direction, temptation like, takes my eyes off
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm not gonna do" it's like, well, like, then by all means, don't do that, like, if it's
Mhm.
but it's yeah, when it becomes sort of that template of like, and Christians, really shouldn't be worried about these sort of things. And it's well,
Mhm.
maybe they should. Like maybe maybe they should be in the industry making great art and music and
Yeah. It's just which are you
allowing,
called to? Yeah.
yeah, because like if you take Jelly Roll out of this ceremony, there's less stuff to affirm that's good. Like not that there was nothing else that happened in the ceremony,
Mhm.
but you do sort of see that need. Like if everyone was like, you know what, like it's just about me and Jesus. It's like, well,
Yeah.
a lot of then you sort of remove yourself from being an example too, and I think you earn some credibility just when you participate, like not in the bad
Mhm.
stuff, but like when you're a part of the culture and you're sharing from within the culture, within the community, as opposed to sort of on the fringe in your own community and you're trying to like call across to them, like
Mhm.
telling them what to do. Jesus loves you, by the way. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
It just carries some different weight. I don't know if you have any other. We can kind of move on, but anything else that
Yeah.
stood out to you about the Grammys or
Well, Leon Thomas, I don't know if you watched Victorious, but it was a Nickelodeon show when I was a young child in the early 2000s, and Leon Thomas showed up and he was in Victorious, and I just saw an interview, like he popped up and I was like, "Who is that? It's Leon." So, that was fun. And then Miss Lauryn Hill came back from like I think her last appearance was in the 90s or something like that. She's incredible. And so it's just really cool to see those two people specifically show up out of nowhere.
well, and it
But
is. I do think it is too bad, and I think they only have themselves to blame, but that so much attention gets given to like the speech or like the like because there is
mm,
a lot of like I think the human stuff or the like connections, like the people coming back
yeah.
or just the stories of some of these people and their journeys.
Mhm.
Like, there is a lot of really cool stuff. Same with, like, the Oscars and stuff, there is a lot of interesting human stories that I think are good. It just so often it seems like it gets drowned out in sort of the lecturing and the pandering and the
Mhm.
more, like, inflammatory as opposed to, like, "Hey, let's just celebrate music and the process of creating music." That stuff's really cool.
Yeah.
But when it becomes just, like, a platform for and because we make good music, sit down in your pew, and we're gonna tell you how to believe about like, is that's when I think it loses some
Yeah.
mystique and some of its charm.
Mhm. Definitely.
Yeah, and kinda wanna, a quick thing I did wanna mention, and, we'll link I wrote an article sort of based on some of these thoughts. I wrote it before the Grammys, but I've been thinking about it again, kind of in light of the Grammys. And the article is kind of focused on more towards like parents and helping kids. But I think like the principles, like the truth, like the actual kind of approach is not just for kids, and that is sort of just the I don't know. I think things like the Grammys maybe show to me that if you go into culture looking for bad or you go into culture looking for good, like, you're gonna find it. Like, you're gonna find whatever it is
Yeah.
that there's plenty in culture to make you mad and angry all the
Mhm.
time. I think there's also plenty in culture to make you encouraged and uplifted and, feel good about the world and about people and even about
Yeah.
Hollywood or industry, any of those sort of things. I think there is sorta it is sort of like confirmation biased of whatever you go into. And I think what I found just from doing the collision and various other things is that there is sort of an ingrained like anti-cultural approach that I think a lot of Christians are just very um, like our default posture has become look for the bad.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of reasons we don't have time to get into all that on this
Mhm.
podcast. Like, I think just algorithms, I think, even like the faith-based industry has invented or a vested interest in convincing you on how bad Hollywood and all these other things are because they want you to come watch their streaming
Yeah.
stuff instead of their like, I think there's a lot of reasons why we have sort of that bent and some of it's just, I think, maybe left over from when we didn't really understand culture as much, and we did want to pull out a bit more. But like I know my brother has said before that and he's a pastor and he travels around a bit. Like it just seems like many Christians are more in tune with like what Satan's doing in the world than what God's doing.
Mhm.
Like they're quick to tell you all the things that Satan's doing and how he has a foothold on the younger generation and he rules Hollywood and all these things but if you ask them, like, "Hey, but what's God doing? Like, where do you see God at
Mhm.
work?" It's like, well, like, it's you gotta kinda think
He's
about
in
it.
church? Yeah.
Yeah, and, he shows up to my Bible study, but
Yeah.
yeah, and I think there is truth to that. Like, I think we have, for whatever reason, I think lots of reasons, w as Christians, we almost need to push against that nature,
Mhm.
and, like, I don't think our default posture should be okay, the Grammys happened. Here's all the bad things. Like, here's oh,
Yeah.
this person said this. Now I'm angry, and my whole takeaway is the whole industry is terrible. Like, because I think then you overlook things like the Jelly Roll thing, or like we had a story on the collision with the Stranger Kids thing, or the Stranger Things kid,
There you go.
Caleb, who over while we were off on our break was sharing about his own personal faith on a podcast, and
Yeah.
it's like those sort of stories you don't I don't know, I feel like Christians can look past those and just focus well, but this celebrity was calling people to do this, and
Well, you could also, like you also look past just the technical skill too of some of these filmmakers, some of these musicians too. Like maybe it's not biblical, maybe it's not edifying, but I think it's worth looking at too, so you can apply some of that skill or some of whatever you learn to your own art form and make Christian and faith-based art better as well. There's always something I think that you could learn, and there's always something that you could pick out to
yeah,
improve your own body of
and I
work.
and I mean, even just I just feel like it's healthier for, like, the soul to
Mhm.
focus on the positive, like, not that you're blind
Yeah.
or ignorant to like, there is a lot of bad stuff. There's a lot of bad stuff in movies, a lot of filth on Netflix, like, all
Mhm.
those things aren't necessarily untrue. It's just that's not the full story. Like,
Mhm.
and I think it can become if we fixate on that and ignore all the stuff that is good. Like, I know even, like, there was a, there's like Pixar and stuff gets hammered for pushing, they'd push some like trans characters in their cartoon shows, and everyone was all mad. But then, like, I think in the same show, actually, the sports drama, like, baseball drama, like, they also had, like, an openly Christian character and a whole episode on them, and, like, it's just, like, crickets, like, the Christians, like, so much energy was spent towards this is how they're pushing these ideologies, and then, like, when there's actually, like, good stuff coming out, it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's
We forget to
we're
celebrate.
too yeah, we're too busy, being mad. And a couple of verses, and then we can, move on, but as I've sort of been thinking about this when I was doing, like, the research for the article, is I just think it's like, rather than just being some, like, trivial sort of, overly optimistic, I think it's like the biblical approach is to focus on the light, not the dark.
Mhm.
Not that you're ignorant of the dark, but, like, I know even, like, Proverbs 22:6, the verse that all parents, gets thrown at parents all the time, but, it says, "Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it." And just the idea that, our goal isn't to direct them off of the wrong path, it's to direct them onto the right path. Like,
Mhm.
it's not just to help them avoid, "This one's bad, don't go there, don't do this, this is bad, the world, Hollywood, this, that, that." It's like, no, just help them to see the right path, like, help them to
Mhm.
appreciate good and beautiful and true, and then you don't need to worry about those other, paths. Or like First John, where it says, kind of the key to avoiding the spiritual darkness is to, like, live in the light. It's not just to worry about to avoid the dark, it's go to the light and then there's no darkness there. Like, that is our calling. Or even the verse I use a lot, like, Paul, when he's just sort of telling people like what to focus on in Philippians 4, like, whatever is true and noble and admirable and excellence and, lovely and, uh, all positive things. Focus on good things
Mhm.
and set your mind on that. And then, you know, then you're not looking at the bad things, like, then those things sort of fade to the background. And I don't know, I just think I've been thinking about that a lot lately, um, just because there seems like there's so much negativity when it comes to Christianity and, like, engaging in culture. And not even that I don't agree with some of the things people are mad at. I just think it can become a bit of a drug to just be constantly mad at culture. And I just think if you can never think of good things, like, if you can never see where God is actually at work in Hollywood and the world and stuff, I don't know, I think that says more about, like, us than it does
Mhm.
about Hollywood. But, what do you
Yeah.
think? Are you seem like a pretty positive person. I think I
I
think you're with me on that. You tend to, like, focus on the good too. Like, I don't think you
It's
get
just
really caught up in.
frustrating to yeah, it's just frustrating to focus on all the bad. It's like, but, like, what about this? Why do you wanna be upset and just angry all the time when there's so many beautiful things that are created and beautiful things in culture and in the world that really point you to Jesus? And you can find, the gospel, you can find something that relates to scripture in some way in pretty much every story and every aspect of life. And so I think once we can hone that skill, then you're gonna have so much more peace and joy in your life.
Yeah, and I just find myself increasingly drawn to people that are doing that, like, just noticing the
Mhm.
good and celebrating good, in
And it
culture.
unifies too, it doesn't divide, which
Yeah, and I
is
think just trying to be
helpful.
intentional about, like, about elevating, even I know for the collision, like, I could write an article almost every week just bashing some Hollywood celebrity that said something or did something or a movie, and I'll point out some stuff, and we still dialogue with that. But I try and be more intentional to, like, hey, but when I see good, like, when there's good examples of Christians doing things in Hollywood or a movie, like, elevate that. Like, that's the priority. Help
Mhm.
people to sort of see that God is at work and here's how, as
Yeah.
opposed to just constantly worrying about how Satan is using Hollywood or whatever it is. So I think this as a general principle, be more positive, affirm the good, the true, and the beautiful, and
Mhm.
don't just don't be as, like, anxious about all of the bad. But speaking of
Yeah.
affirming the good, in culture. To end off this episode, I know we're a month into the year now, which is crazy. But January is basically
It's insane.
like a break from the movie season. Like, there was not a lot of
Nothing.
things coming out that,
Yeah.
when Mercy was like the number one sort of interesting movie, and not a whole lot going on. So all the big movies and stuff are coming out this year are still to come out.
Mhm.
So I thought we could just end the show, have a little fun, and just give maybe our top 5 sort of
Okay.
the movies that we're doesn't necessarily mean these are the movies we think will be the best movies made of the year, but like, so maybe we'll go back and forth a little bit on these, and I think maybe go from like our five, work our way up to number one. So, what is your number five movie that you're looking forward to?
Number 5 for me is Disclosure Day. It just looks like it's gonna be apocalypse movies are fun, and this one looks like it'll be a little different. It looks like it's based on a book. I don't know if it is, it just kinda gives that feel. And it's our close and personal friend of the channel, Josh O'Connor, is back at it again with the American accent, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, because um, this is my number two that I
Mhm.
have on my list because this is like I mean, I love alien movies, and I think it seems like an alien movie, or at least some sort of
It
something
does, yeah.
movie. But like it's a Spielberg movie, and I think
Oh,
like
yeah, I
Steven
even
Spielberg,
forgot about that,
and
yeah.
like, and it might not be, maybe it won't end up being great, but like the fact that we still have Steven Spielberg in 2026 making original alien
Did he
movies,
direct it, or did he
I think
produce it?
I think he directed it.
Okay.
Uh, let's see.
It
Uh,
looks really fast, and Emily Blunt, I think she's coming back with the American accent, and she's coming back in
yeah,
Devil Wears Prada too. That'll be
yeah.
exciting.
So directed by Steven Spielberg, music by John Williams,
Oh,
uh,
classic.
music or
Classic pair.
screenplay David Knopf. Is that how you say his
Oh,
name?
I don't know
I
who
know he
it
did
is.
like the Jurassic Park movies. He's done several things with Steven Spielberg, but so I'm excited for this one. I think the fact that Steven, like, I don't know how old Spielberg is. He's not young.
He's
He'll,
not young now.
like he'll be almost 80 years old.
Unfortunately.
Like he'll be almost 80 years old, and like I don't know. You just don't take it for granted that you have these. I think he's the greatest director of all time. So like you have.
Over Scorsese?
Oh, I think the range of movies he did, like
Yeah.
the eras, like I think he's defined multiple eras as opposed to
Yeah,
like just
I would
being
agree
really
with
good
that.
at like maybe Scorsese has like more depth or something, but I just
Mhm.
think range you can't beat Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
So that was your number five. My number five is actually and keep in mind I am a father of two young kids, and I'm also a kid at heart, but is the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Super
Uh, um,
Sorry, I said it funny.
um, Super Mario. I'm
Yeah,
excited
there
for
you
this movie.
go.
I mean, I'm excited because I know be seeing this with my kids, and my kids like it.
That'll be
I
fun.
enjoyed the first one. I don't know if you were you like a Nintendo kid growing up. I feel like you're.
We had a GameCube throwback. My dad's old GameCube, we played Super Smash and Mario Kart. So that was pretty much. And then we had a Wii and we played the Super Mario Wii game. It was pretty
See,
intense.
see
But that's the extent.
the GameCube is the only Nintendo like console system that I never had. Like I had
It's a
all of
good
them
one.
growing up. Like Super Nintendo, still the best video game thing ever made. N64. Like, so for me, I don't know. I'm excited. There's so much nostalgia. I don't think it's going to be like a great movie. I just think it's going to
It's gonna be
scratch that
fun.
itch and of
Yeah.
like I know that's from Super Mario 2. That's Birdo. That's this reference. And so I don't know. I think that is just like a guilty pleasure. What's your
Yeah.
number four?
My number 4 is Peaky Blinders.
See, I have never seen the show. Like, I
So
know
let me
nothing other than I love those hats and I wish I had them. Other than
Re
that, I don't know.
don't you have I feel like you do have one, don't you? Or maybe
Well,
that's Sam.
I had
Sam
one
Camp
that
has one.
was my lucky hat, and then my dog ate it, and I've never
Oh,
been able to find one the same.
Bilbo.
I still remember I bought it
Well
in a mall at like a hallway kiosk, and it was this,
mhm.
and I still resent my dog for that. But
Well, it's a very I can't fully recommend the series because there's a lot of, not so wholesome content, but it's really, really well filmed, the score is really good, the acting Cillian Murphy is both mine and Dusty's favorite actor, we share that, and so I'm just really excited for this I think it's 6 seasons in a movie if you've seen Community, so 6 seasons and now the Peaky Blinders movie, it looks like it's gonna be
I'm
pretty
guessing you will have
good.
needed to see this show.
I don't know, truly. I'm sure that you would be able to understand it, but there will be things in it that you're like, "Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember when this character died," you know? But I think that you'll be able to watch it and
Yeah.
understand it. You just might not appreciate it as
Yeah, just might
much.
not enjoy it as much. Speaking of,
Yes.
we'll see, maybe I'll have you do the collision review for that because 'cause I'll be,
Ooh, I would
ignorant.
love to.
My number 4, and this one is, there's some caveats to it, but it is the Narnia movie, and I don't know what it's gonna be called, like, I think they're doing, like, Magician's Nephew,
Oh, they
seems like
are?
I think
Oh, that's
that's from what
exciting.
I've seen, which is, like, one of their last books written, but it's, like, the
Mhm.
chronology is, like, the first, like, the prequel. Uh, I don't think it's among the best of the Narnia books, but, um and I will say this, my hopes for this being good are not super high. I It seems like everything that's come out about this movie is, like, anti-marketing. It's like every time any of the people in charge of making this movie share, like, they're like, "This is gonna be rock and roll, and it's gonna be all hip and new and young," and it's like, that's not what I want
Oh.
at all. Like,
And
for
C.S. Lewis didn't want his work adapted either, I'm pretty sure. I think he
I don't
said,
know,
like,
he
never make
maybe
was it C.S.? I think it was
I know
C.S. Lewis.
Tolkien didn't necessarily want it. No, he
Maybe
actually,
I'm thinking of Tolkien. I think
but
it
yeah,
was C.S. Lewis. I'll fact check myself, but I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it's
I don't know,
C.S.
nothing
Lewis.
about this. I'm I'm going in knowing my heart will be broken and this will be terrible. Um, but it's still like, as far as just like anticipated movies that I know I will have a strong reaction to one way or the other. Which, as someone that engages with a lot of movies and reviews movies, and that's all you can really ask for is a movie that's interesting, that has stuff
Yeah,
going on. Um, and yeah,
definitely.
um,
It's okay, so I did fact check myself
factor
really
check.
fast. Yeah, I just fact my check, and then we can move on. It looks like, according to Google AI, he was opposed to live action adaptations because he thought, like, Aslan, a human acted Aslan would be blasphemy in some way, but he was open to animation.
But what about
So,
a CGI Aslan voiced by Meryl Streep? Strap.
I'm I'm very mad
I don't know.
about that.
I
Meryl
try and
Streep is incredible,
yeah,
but
yeah.
not for
I try
Aslan.
I try to just like block out everything I've heard about this movie and
Yeah,
pretend like I'm
go
really excited. And
I
I
feel
am
the
hoping for the
same.
best.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel the same about the Harry Potter series personally, though.
on the
So,
TV show,
we'll
yeah. It's
see.
like, we'll
Yeah.
see. What's your number 3 movie?
My number 3 is Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I am just excited. I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. I think Tobey Maguire is nostalgic, and Andrew Garfield is just very energetic, but Tom Holland, I think, is the best and comically sound. And so I'm excited this is gonna be kind of his origin story. You know, he started with him already being Spider-Man, but now he's to start over. So it's gonna be really, really interesting to see how he handles that.
And I will say, not to spoil the earlier, bombshell revelation that a certain other superhero movie I think is on neither one of our lists. I think this is the only, like, comic book movie that either of us have on our list. It wasn't on my list, and I
Mhm.
think that says more about just how I feel about comic book movies these days than it does about, like,
These
about the
days specifically, yeah.
yeah, because I think the Spider-Man Marvel ones are about the only series in the MCU right now that I still have somewhat of a attachment
Yeah,
to. Like,
me
I think
too.
they're the ones I enjoy the most. Like, they're the ones that I actually get excited for. Like, the rest of them,
Yeah.
until proven otherwise, like, I just don't
I
care. Like,
know.
even like I know the new Avengers movie, which is not on my list. I don't think on your list.
No.
Like, I haven't even watched all the trailers. Like,
I haven't seen any of the
I
trailers.
it's like I'll go see it, and I'm hoping it will be good, and maybe it will be good. I'm just so burnt out that it's like, I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care about the
Yeah.
story. But I am excited for Spider-Man because I do think,
Mhm.
I think Spider-Man is the best of those. My number 3 is Dune: Messiah, and, this is another kinda mixed bag for me because I don't know if you've read any of the Dune books.
I read
This
the
book,
first one.
um, you read the good one, and then there's
Yeah,
the other
that's what
one.
I've heard.
Uh, because this book is weird. Like, this is not it's not a cinematic book at all. It's not even a good story. There's some interesting stuff, like, theologically, like, as Christians, not necessarily things that we would affirm necessarily, but So I'm excited because I think big spectacle sci-fis are awesome. It's gonna look amazing. But, like, I even thought the last Dune movie was fine. Like, I wasn't crazy
Mhm.
about, um I don't
You
know,
weren't
what about
excited
either of
about
them?
Timothy?
Like, I think both the Dune movies are overrated for I think
Mm.
the mystique of the director Villeneuve and, like, the scope of it, like, it looks amazing. There is some good stuff too. I don't think they're bad movies at all.
It's
I just
filmed well. It's filmed
yeah,
really well.
I just think, like, the storytelling and stuff, like, it just I don't know, it's just so plotting and
Mhm.
weird, and some of that's just the source material is weird, but, like, this source material is really weird, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what they actually do, how they make this like cinematic and fun, or if it's
Yeah,
just going to be some like slog of a movie. What's your
definitely.
number? What are we on? Your number
Number
two.
2. Oh, Dune is on my honorable mention list, which I didn't realize we were doing an honorable mention list until we were about to start the podcast, so it's very short. But my number 2 is the new Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. So, honestly, it's mostly for nostalgia's sake, because the Hunger Games books and shows are so fun, or books and movies, geez, are so fun.
And you just
But the
enjoy watching
new
kids kill each other. Is that's
pretty yeah, it's like it's, on my breaks. No. But the new book, first of all, the trailer is one of the best trailers that I've seen, at least this year. Like, it's a really great trailer, and the casting looks amazing. And the book, when I read it, it didn't really feel like a Hunger Games book. It felt like she knew it was gonna be a movie, and she was writing it for the screen. Like, she even used film language in the book, which I was like, I don't know about this. So hopefully, I think this will be one of the rare cases where the movie is much better than the book. So I'm excited about it for
yeah, because
that
the book.
reason.
Because I read the book, I thought the book was fine. To me,
Mhm.
I mean, this is one of my honorable mentions. I think it'll be good. We just read these books with my kid, the
Mhm.
original series with my kids, and watched the movies. So I'm like back in the Hunger Games world. It does sort of feel like there's only so much you can do with like there's only so many. It's like Jurassic Park. Like how many? There's
Yeah.
only so many ways you can strand people on an island and have them not be eaten before it's just the same. And for me, this book it felt kind of the same.
Yeah. Well,
But
the
I think it will
world
be.
is yeah, the world she created is so small. Like, I mean, it makes sense because it's kind of a communist like mindset of this is the only thing that exists and everything outside is bad and you shouldn't go there. But like the Harry Potter world, I think you could adapt so many different ways just because it's so large. Maybe like the Lord of the Rings world. There are worlds that have been built that I think you have, or even Star Wars, that you have a lot more opportunity to adapt different things. And this
Yeah,
isn't
and I
one of
feel
those
yeah,
worlds.
and I feel like she's sorta I don't know, like, she's just a lot of the impact of the originals, the more you do it, like, the Hunger Games, the whole concept of the kids and all the actual, like, themes she's wrestling with, which I think are really interesting about propaganda and all
Mhm.
this sort of stuff, I feel like does sort of start to lose its impact the more you see it. Like, the more you see a
Well,
bunch of kids in the it's like, "Okay,
yeah.
well, we've sorta you've said what you had to say on this." But all that said, it is one of my,
Yeah.
most looking I'm probably I think I will enjoy it more than even, some of the movies that I listed as my looking forward to. I think we
Mhm.
were both on our number 1, because my number 2 was Disclosure Day,
Mhm.
and, it's easy
We have the
because we
same
share.
number
Our number
1.
1, which is probably to the surprise of no one, is
Yeah.
the Odyssey.
The
This is
Odyssey.
I mean, this is gonna be, like it's like the mean, like,
Huge.
cinema. Like, this
It's
is
Oppenheimer Part 2.
this movie is gonna look incredible. I mean, I'm a bit of a Christopher Nolan fanboy. I think he's awesome. Um, I don't know, like, to me, this is, like, what movies are about, like, it's a big sweeping
Yeah.
scope. It's gonna be
That's what
filmed
we're
it's like
missing,
is it,
yeah.
like, the first movie ever filmed, like, all on IMAX cameras? Like,
Yeah,
the thing's
something
gonna
like
look
that.
ginormous, like and there's, like, some, like, controversies and stuff around it that I just don't care about. I think it's silly.
Mhm.
Like, I think just people are trying to be mad at stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be awesome. I think this movie is gonna be I mean, the trailer they released for it haven't necessarily blown me away, like the teasers and
Mhm.
stuff,
It
but I
looks
have full
great.
faith that it's gonna
Yeah.
be that this will be
And I
awesome.
haven't read the Odyssey either. I started listening to the audiobook, like, this month or last month, but I think it's gonna be incredible, and I think I am worried, though, about the casting because it's so many, you recognize every single face that's up there, and that can kind of take you out of it.
Yeah,
I want people
that normally does.
Yeah.
It's the same as, like, Ryan Gosling gonna be in the new Star Wars movie, like, it's like
Oh,
I
I
kinda
didn't
like
know that.
yeah, it's like I kinda like the people that, like I don't know, it's just like there's Matt Damon, there's so and so, there's so and so. But I feel like Christopher Nolan's done that for all of his movies, and you sort of forget once you get in there, there's enough going
It
on in those
seems
movies.
like well, it seems like more so in this one. First,
Because he
like,
had,
it's
like,
Anne Hathaway, it's Willem Dafoe, it's,
because
Matt
Hathaway's
Damon,
been
Tom
in
Holland.
because yeah,
Yeah.
Hathaway was in, uh she was in Interstellar, and I mean, they had, like, Harry Styles in his Dunkirk movie. I feel like he's been able to pull it off, so I do have faith in him. But yeah, there is sort of that
Yeah.
weird of, like, you see a bunch of super A-listers, and I don't know, maybe that's fun for marketing, but all that said, this movie's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
this movie is
regardless.
I think this movie is gonna be probably, at least in the top 2 of, like, my most,
Mhm.
favorite movies of the year. Real quick, I will give before we, move to our last segment, my final I think, you maybe have another honorable
I
mention.
had
My
one,
other
yeah.
honorable mentions are I have The Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm actually not really looking forward to this. I'm a huge Star Wars guy that's been burnt out by Star Wars lately and hasn't been, like, super into it. I thought the last season of Mandalorian was terrible. Uh, I don't know. I'm not really. This isn't this kind of Star Wars I want. I'm just excited because I do think Star Wars like belongs in the theater. I know
Mhm.
all of it's been TV lately, and Andor was great. But like my kids haven't seen a Star Wars movie in theaters. We went to see it when they released the original trilogy, or they released like Revenge of the Sith, the prequels. I took them to that, so they've seen a Star Wars movie, but it's been so long since there was one. It's all been on TV that I am excited to see it on Star Wars once again on the big screen. Hunger Games was another honorable mention. Young Washington, not necessarily super excited for this. I just think it's going to be a buzzworthy, like a landmark film for kind of faith based stuff that potentially could be super successful. And I'm more curious than I am excited. And my last one is The Sheep Detectives. I don't know if you
That
have
one
seen
looks
anything about this
cute.
movie. Uh, Again, just because I like weird movies, and this is a movie about like a shepherd that gets murdered, and like the sheep have to solve the case, and like it just looks like real quirky and weird. And I think
Yeah,
we need a little quirky weirdness
I
in
agree.
our movies. But speaking of things we need, I know I need to hear it to cleanse the palate of everything else going on in culture. Is the final segment of this podcast, which is things we like that you should like too. So now we just had an episode where we talked about the importance of liking things and being positive. So
Mhm.
no added pressure, but it is up to you now to begin to provide people
I
with the material they need to set them on the right path to doing that.
I
So
think you're gonna be very disappointed. I have a prop. I have a prop
no,
today. So Trader Joe's just mango, dried mango slices, unsweetened and unsulfured. Yes. These packed in Mexico, apparently. These are addictive. They're so, so good and chewy and incredible.
well I noticed the bag
So
is empty.
it is. It fell out of my trash can that's next to my desk, and I was like, that's it. That's what I like that you should like too.
Is that how God communicates with you? Just
It he takes things out of my trash. But yes, and apparently I learned Trader Joe's has standard prices all over the country. So if you're in New York City or Chicago or something, it'll probably be cheaper than your grocery store. Just saying.
this episode has been brought to you by Trader Joe's, which actually rocks. I was in California for a while where they had more Trader Joe's, and we'd always go there. I will say,
So good.
I mean, I wasn't necessarily expecting mangoes, but I can affirm, like dried mangoes are the best. We've
Get the
had,
unsweetened one though. It just makes you feel better too.
yeah, but does
Like
it
eating
taste
it. It
good?
doesn't it tastes so I think it tastes better than the sweetened one. The sweetened one's way too sweet and it has like the gritty texture. And this is just like fruit leather, but better. It's so good.
So basically, what you're saying is, if you look into the culture and you see just a lot of bad worldviews and
Yeah,
things, ideologies, things going on, just go eat some unsweetened dried mangoes, and that will
exactly.
that will set things
That's what
right.
I'm saying. Yes.
But another thing that you can do while you're eating those mangoes is join us every week for the Faith and Pop Culture podcast. So we were off for a while, but we are back on our regular schedule. So we will be back next Thursday. Every Thursday, always a lot. We kind of have a bit of a backlog of things to talk about. So excited for the year of colliding with culture, talking about it. So we hope you will all join us next Thursday for more conversations on faith and pop culture.